Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Four Seasons of Film podcast for our spooktacular horror movie podcast. We talk about horror movies that maybe you haven't seen or on, some lists that aren't as popular. So hopefully you can find a horror film or two that you can watch and be scared about. Check it out, because that's the human condition. Man.
Okay, before we begin, I don't want to go into this like we always do, where we plan a horror-themed podcast and you've watched 3 movies.
I have a list of 6.
6 movies?
Yeah, man.
6 movies. That's all you covered for a horror-themed. We're endorsing what people should watch for this Halloween season, and it's already midway through October. You have 6 recommendations.
I can't believe it. But yeah, man. Fuck it. I only have 6.
You know how many I have?
I'm going to say 23.
14, and it's October, when we're recording this, it's October the 12th, so that's more than one a day.
Yeah, man. I'm trying. I'm going to be able to catch up here in a little bit.
I'm committed to this podcast. You are committed to...
Well, hey, man. It's a good...
What movie did I catch you watching the other day that wasn't a horror movie?
Oh, what was it? I think it was Talladega. No, it was Step Brothers.
See, you don't even just understand the assignment. The assignment for this episode was lesser known horror films that we will endorse, that we have seen recently, to get people into the holiday season, the Halloween season.
Yeah.
And they have 2 weeks left or 2.5 weeks left, whatever that is. And yeah, 14 films under my belt. Some of them, are in the wheelhouse of kind of atypical Halloween movies or fall movies, horror movies. You should be very proud of me, by the way, that I've watched 14 quote unquote horror movies.
Yeah, I just want to hear all about it, man. That's why.
It's the last genre that one of the last genres I have not really explored in my writing career, certainly not in my viewing career, but something hit me this year. I don't know whether it's that stupid screenplay idea that you want me to write.
Yeah, which I watched. One of the movies I watched, I was like, fuck, if this is going to be like what we're doing, I'm going to be pissed. But luckily, we'll get to it, but it's not. So
believe me, man. There's always room for another one. There's Dante's Peak and Volcano.
That's true. Yes.
Hollywood is no stranger. There's 2 Capote movies. Hollywood's no stranger to duplicating even productions that are simultaneously in production.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but we're still good. We're still good. I'm happy to report, because I was like, all right, this is a 2-for-1er.
So to begin my list, I will, of the 14 films, I will say the one that kicked off this sort of spark of Halloween. I don't even know, want to watch Halloween films. I don't know what it was. Season. But it was a Saturday night. Jules had fallen asleep. I was in the living room and I went, you know what? I want to watch something that's scary. So I couldn't think of anything because I don't really know. You put on The Shining or right. Texas Chainsaw.
The classics.
These are movies that I've seen a million times, and they are, though. Texas Chainsaw is my favorite horror film of all time because it's the most scary movie of all time.
So eerie to this day. It's very few movies have that staying power.
Yeah, and The Shining, it's not quite a horror movie for me. It's more like that's just a psychologically fucked up movie. Mm-hmm. But if we're gonna go on something that's gonna scare me, The Shining doesn't really scare me. Texas Chainsaw scares me, and the only other time, especially a modern time, I was scared watching a movie was when I was... What the fuck was that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, was that tires screeching?
I don't know. So The Conjuring.
Ooh, yeah. I remember seeing that in theaters with you.
I don't know where we left off, but there was a car accident outside of our studio.
Dude,
so,
you probably could hear it through the microphones.
We had to run outside and fill out a police report. But that's the first time that's happened in 10 years of doing this show. So everybody's safe, everybody's fine, and that made for some good pod.
Yeah, episode 423.
Might have to bleep out all the shit we said on the way out of the studio.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Real-time reaction. Anyway, what I was saying is the crux of all of this Halloween hoopla moviedom for me was the last time I saw a movie in theaters that really scared me was when I went to, I don't want to say because the last time I said The Conjuring, boom, a car accident happened. But yeah. So 2013's The Conjuring, and only because of one scene, and that's the hand clapping scene from that movie.
The call and response when she comes out of the closet.
Yeah, and so I put that on. Actually, backstory to this: I texted you. And I said, I need to watch a scary movie. What do you suggest? And you didn't have one single recommendation for a scary movie for me. I was blown away. It was like 10 to midnight, and you're not giving me one movie that I could use. And I just said, fuck it, I'll just watch The Conjuring.
Oh, yeah.
I was giving you recommendations. You're like, oh, yeah, I haven't seen that. That sounds good.
Yeah, well, it was late, man.
You're the horror guy.
Yeah. Well, sorry. I have recommendations.
I've yet to see any of them. And a follow-up to that movie, 2013's The Conjuring, it's not that good.
I haven't seen it in so long, you know?
I mean, it really falls apart in the third act. It just completely falls apart. The mother goes back to the house. She gets abducted. They chase her, and then basically they hold her down and say, get out of that demon woman thing, and it does.
Yeah.
And, you know, the lead up to it, because of, you know, it's kind of like the resurgence of the haunted house genre.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For that time, at least, or as I don't know because I'm not a horror aficionado, and apparently you weren't either.
No, I'm an enthusiast.
That's playing it mildly, I guess. But since that movie, it's so funny because that's my favorite kind of being scared or horror film. You remember being scared more than you remember the moment it happened. And just like the hand clap scene, I had this image of these two gross green hands reaching out of the bureau and clapping and just scaring the shit out of me internally. And I watched it this time and it looked nothing like that. It wasn't scary. It wasn't like slimy green hands. It was just like two hands.
I think some of the scariness wears off after you see it. Like we started at the top of the episode, I remember saying like Texas Chainsaw. That's like one of the few ones that like still holds up, but like
that's more disturbing than scary.
Right. So you kind of know when it's coming, and now that you can see the details more instead of just being like, oh fuck.
Well, the biggest example of not remembering and then rewatching is when in 1999 when I went to see the Blair Witch Project, because that movie had so much hype, and I think I was 14 at the time. Is that right? Oh yeah, 14. Yeah, and so the campaign was there's these three people that have died and they found this secret footage, and we're going to watch the story of their death. And I believed it was real, and many people believed it was real.
Yeah.
And so when I went to see the movie, I was on the edge of my seat, just like everybody in that theater was. And I swear to God, during that video, or during that screening, I saw a manifestation of a witch in the water in one of the creek scenes during that screening. And I watched it a million times ever since, and I've never seen anything like it again, because it's not there, but I was so scared. I thought it was there. I saw it. It's just like the Conjuring thing to a lesser degree. That's how terrified I can get. And I'm guessing people probably can get that way in horror films, because if it certainly happened for me, and not having watched a million horror films, it probably happens to more people that manifest thoughts and ideas while watching these movies.
Yeah, it's horror movies are very divisive when you're talking to watchers, right? There's people that love them, like I do. You respect them, and you don't mind watching them. And then there's people that are like, "Fuck no!"
Please don't classify me ever again with what I think about a movie and a genre. That sounded horrible.
Okay, well here
I don't mind watching them. I wouldn't have watched 14 horror movies ready for this podcast. I don't mind watching them. No, I watched some fucking gems.
You're a new person. I don't know what happened to the Nathan I knew. I'm so proud. I feel like a proud
It's because you gave me
uncle.
You gave me a screenwriting exercise. I'm going to call it an exercise until we actually film this. Even after filming it, I'm going to say it was an exercise.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. It's going to be good.
Yeah, okay. You gave me a screenwriting exercise. Challenge accepted. So now I can't just write something that's not informed. So I have to learn about the best and the worst and the middle ground of this genre.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. My first recommendation for you. This is mostly recommendations and non-recommendations for you.
Non-recommendations.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that far. It's just movies that land and movies that didn't land in the horror genre.
Okay.
Most of them are off the beaten path. I hope. I mean, it's not like I did. Do so many deep dive searches in the best horror movies of all time or the best little known horror movies of all time, and I sort of stuck to ones that I don't think people would remember that much. Or, horror fans are a lot like Marvel fans. They're probably going to come down harsh on us like, I have seen every single one of those. You're such a fucking hack. And I'm going to direct all that on Andy.
Okay.
But my first recommendation for you is a movie called The Village of the Damned from 1960.
I know the title. Never watched it.
It is one of those brilliant old school British movies that they use really creepy kids with really creepy voices in a mild-mannered British town, and you just get to watch we're going to say an alien presence take over the town and birth, and every woman in the town gets pregnant at the same time, and they all give birth to these weird blonde children with scary eyes that you don't want to make mad.
Okay.
Because if you make them mad, they kill you.
Ooh. Lesson for life. Don't make people mad.
And it's like watching The Omen. That kid that played Damien is just so scary. You don't want to piss him off. It's just like that. It's a little less like that because the wigs are so fake in this, but the main kid is really blonde, I think, and his voice is so scary that, I mean, it scared me off of wanting to have children.
Wow.
Because I've seen seen kids act like this in real life, and they're not possessed by some alien species. And yeah, it's so unsettling because it's sort of 1960s, so it's in almost like the atomic age where they were trying to scare everybody with atomic age movies, and science and technology was running rampant in everybody's minds. So that part of it is really fucking scary. Wow. And then you add this child nature to it. It's such a simple movie, but the way that they pull it off, I mean, George Saunders in this is so great in that old English way as the lead. I would say it's a stereotypical English movie from that time, but it actually scares the shit out of you. What's that one that I told you to watch? It was like Atomic Age also, and it was a bunch of like creatures running around.
Oh yeah, I watched that, The Creeping Terror. I can't wait to talk to you about that.
Wait, you just watched that one?
I watched it this week, yeah.
I thought you'd seen that before.
No, not The Creeping Terror. No, you said to watch it for the episode this
The
week.
one where at the end all the weird creatures that were birthed out of like the atomic bomb are coming in, they have to like fight them off inside the house?
No, different movie then.
Okay, that
different movie. I watched The Creeping Terror. That was your recommendation for me to watch this
Okay,
week.
fine. What's The Creeping Terror?
Oh my God. It is about a new sheriff goes into town, but I guess he picked the wrong day to start the job because a people-eating alien flies into the town.
This is that movie.
Starts terrorizing the residents of this, I think it's somewhere outside of San Francisco. It's like some woodsy town outside of San Francisco. And yeah.
Okay, so the 1964's The Creeping Terror. I got this off a recommendation from the New Beverly's Cinemas podcast, the Pure Cinema podcast.
I'm wondering why you recommended this film. Continue.
Because they said that it might be the worst film of all time.
God damn, I agree. Fuck, man. It was like, but so I was just thinking, like, watching it, I'm like, why the fuck am I watching this thing? This monster looks like somebody fucking took a blanket and added some, like, pipe cleaners to it and some eyeballs. And it's, like, moving so slowly that any of these people could fucking just run away. The movie's all pretty much a narrator, in voiceover because they probably... But I was like, maybe this was, like, a quintessential, like, monster movie birth because it's, like, such a B movie. No, it was fucking stupid. It was ridiculous. I wanted to like
so stupid it was good.
No, not even like, dude.
So bad it was endearing.
I was just like, okay, they tried. Like it would be like if we like today without any prepping or planning, we were like, hey, let's go shoot a horror movie in the backyard. And, we have blankets, so let's make a monster.
But they had locations and stuff.
Yeah, they had like a swinging like 60s like twist party, and then the monster comes in and then starts eating everybody.
And tons of actors.
I guess so, yeah.
So the lesson learned here is anybody can make a movie.
Yes.
That was my lesson. they got a movie made. They went out and they did it. And look, now we're still talking about it. That's the lesson.
Yeah,
Don't let anybody tell you that they couldn't make a movie. And, one of the famous filming locations from The Creeping Terror is Spawn Ranch.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah. I wasn't angry that I watched at the end of it, but I was just kind of like, huh.
You ever go see a really shitty band when you were younger and go, you know what? They suck so bad, I'm going to start a band?
Yes. I'm like, if there's people here to see them,
that was
I can do it.
That was sort of the assignment that I was giving you indirectly. Because if you came back and said, this movie was fucking awesome, I'd fire you right now. You'd be so done.
Because usually I thought, I was like, dude, he's fucking with me right now. Like, he has to be just messing with me, because it's like, I'm trying to find the good points. And I guess it's like, hey, it was like in the 1960s, one of the original, B indie monster movie.
Well, I'm glad you passed the test.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to go with another recommendation, a movie you have seen, but this movie was one of my favorite ones I watched in the past 2 weeks, and I recommend this to people that haven't seen this. I'm guessing a lot of people have seen this that are horror fans, but if you're not a horror fan, this movie is creepy. It'll keep you on the edge of your seat. It still has all of the tropes of what I don't like about horror films, which people just make stupid decisions, seemingly because they don't, there's no reason for them. It's like, obviously that's the wrong move to make. And the suspension of disbelief in horror movie characters, it drives me fucking crazy. And everybody always tells me that that's the point of the movies. You're supposed to be yelling at the screen, and these characters are supposed to be dumb. Oh, what would you do? Like, you would be thinking
No,
straight.
I don't agree with that.
You know what? Fuck that.
I don't agree with that thinking.
Fuck that. You can get out of a place and just walk away. It's like I always tell you, you might disagree. If The Evil Dead or The Evil Dead 2 is happening in my house, I'm just going to walk by the demon like he doesn't exist and leave.
Oh, no, you can't do that.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't. He'll fucking kill you.
I'm telling you, you go blabbity, blabbity, blabbity. Where are you going? Wait, I'm real. And you don't even, it's like a crying child. Just walk out and go and cross the bridge that's probably already rolled up like aluminum foil.
We'll never be in this situation, but I wish that I'd be like, you know what, go walk by him.
No, you'd be dead because you'd be scared of him. And I'd walk by him and go, what? I don't see anything.
Fuck you. Like, you wouldn't be scared. You'd be scared shitless of something like that. Everybody would be.
No, because it's not real.
But never mind. We're not going to argue this.
Anyway. So my next recommendation is a movie called The Strangers from 2008.
Yeah.
Supposedly based on a true story, which it is not. I later learned.
I didn't know they said it was, but
at the beginning, there's a title sequence at the beginning, genius, that says it's based on a true story.
It's been a long time since I've seen it. I wanted to go back and watch it after you said you were going to watch it.
Anyway, the setup is brilliant. I love the opening because it's the morning after everybody dies, and it basically says we never found out what happened to these people that were in this cabin, because it seemed like it was just a random act of violence by these strangers, these people that just showed up for no reason. Mm-hmm. And that's what's so fucking creepy about the movie. It's about a couple that comes home from a wedding and they have some sort of fight and they're going to break up. And then these people descend on the house and terrorize this couple the whole movie for no reason. They can't figure out why they're in this situation. They can't figure out who these people are. They're not overtly trying to kill them as more as they are trying to fuck with them and kill everyone around them that shows up. And it's just one of those great on the run in one single location movies it's terrifying because everybody has been in a house at night by themselves, especially a vacation house or a house that's creepy
or desolate,
in the middle of nowhere. And what do you do? And it's starring Liv Tyler, who I think is such a wonderful actress. And for her to do a movie like this, I thought that was really bold. And it's like she was born to be a scream queen in this because she delivered so well. And Brian Bertino was the writer director of this. I haven't looked and seen if he's done anything else, but I'm telling you, I think that's a very promising debut. So I'm excited to see what he did after this. But yeah, the movie hits on all the quadrants of what makes a really great thriller and horror movie. And if it is that intense and it is that terrifying and is that suspenseful, then I can suspend disbelief that these characters are that dumb when they make dumb decisions. But you slap your head, and that's what kind of makes it fun. You go, oh, come on, don't do this. Oh, I can't wait to see what happens when she does this stupid thing. but she does about 25 stupid things in this. And what would you do? I mean, honestly, what would you do?
And the three killers, or like the three torturers, man. The way with the masks and their mannerisms, and just how they're just like so playful with it. And there's such destruction and terror going on. I just love that, like in movies when there's that kind of night and day difference, right? It's just like they're all in control, and that's what's so scary, is like these people aren't even batting an eye doing any of this stuff. Like something is snapped in their fucking minds.
Well, they keep upping the ante, because the biggest thing in the beginning is there's somebody outside. They keep knocking on the door. They want to come in. We're not letting them in. And then you switch to the suspense of, oh no, somebody is in the house, and they keep turning things on, or stealing her cell phone. They keep doing things from inside the house. So the scares keep coming in different ways, and then it becomes like a chase movie where she is running away physically from these people. So it just grips you the whole time, because it doesn't stay one genre the whole time, or one set of thrills the whole time. It's just brilliant filmmaking, brilliant storytelling. I was really taken. I remember when this came out, I wanted to see it, but I never did. And I'm glad I did now, because that will be on heavy rotation in future October years from here on out.
Yeah, I want to watch it again.
Do you have one?
I watched this one. I think you would like it. It's called The Devil's Reign. It stars Ernest Borgnine, Tom Skerritt, Bill Shatner, and we're friends now. It's about this
Wait, what's it called?
The Devil's Reign.
The Devil's Reign.
Yeah, I think it was early 70s. But anyway, so it's because talking about the horror, Simon, I was like, man, this title sounds like a little bit like what we're trying to do. So let me see if it's kind of like the movie we're trying to do, which it's not, which I'm happy to report. So Tom Skerritt's going back to this town because Bill Shatner and his family, they're very heavy Christians, and on the other side of town,
like they're overweight.
Yes. And then on the other side of town, there's Ernest Borgnine, who's the head of like a satanic church. So all of a sudden his brother goes missing. So Tom Skerritt goes back to the town and goes to Ernest Borgnine and finds out that it's not just a satanic church. He's actually summoning the devil himself through the reign of the town and stealing people's souls.
And I see a picture of a Minotaur character. Is that what's going on here?
That's Ernest Borgnine.
Oh, God.
So that's towards the end, and like the one, it's a campy, it's like over the top, and you have like like these actors that are in it just taking it so seriously, and like I will say, like the last like 15 minutes, I'm not going to say what happens, but there's like a 8-minute scene where everybody is being vaporized or decomposed, and it's like 8 minutes, and you just see like all these effects, like these practical effects happening, just like it's just gratuitous, like how long this sequence goes, but at the same time you're like, this is so cool from like a filmmaking aspect on how like practical effects, makeup, and squibs and all this is, so it's ridiculous. Like it's cheesy, it's hokey, but like I think that's why people gravitated toward this, because it's like that 10-minute when shit really goes down and Tom Skerritt's trying to save the day.
Well, it's very eclectic cast. I mean, Tom Skerritt, Ernest Borgnine, and Eddie Albert from Green Acres.
Okay, yeah, Eddie Albert.
You didn't watch Green Acres growing up?
I didn't. No.
Oh, God. You were too busy. I won't even say what you were doing.
I've never...
Discovering yourself?
Yeah, this was just a random, like, I was scrolling to find, like horror movies that I haven't seen, and I just came upon it, and I'm like, I had no idea about this, but I'm like, shit, man, this is, like, a good one, for, like, a fun, like, when you're hanging out and just, like, you are talking to the screen and stuff like that. It's not serious. But
the poster kind of looks like an Island of Dr. Moreau.
Does it? I haven't looked at the poster yet.
Well, it's a 70s movie, so I have to watch it. I have to watch every movie that was made in the 70s before I die. So
you'll have a good time watching it,
I don't know. It looks kind of cheap.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
I mean, Ernest Borgnine, he can do anything. He was in Marnie, and he also could be in Basketball. So you never know.
He's creepy, man.
Yeah, tell me what Marnie is.
I don't know what I was agreeing with basketball.
You only won a fucking Oscar for Marnie.
Too sexy for this shirt. That's one of my best favorite memories from that movie.
Nobody knows what the hell you're talking about.
Basketball when he's rubbing the lotion.
Did I say Marty or Marnie?
I don't know. See, you don't even know.
Yeah, I think it's Marty. It's Marty. But anyway, Marty's the Hitchcock movie. But still, at least I know there's an M movie starring Ernest Borgnine. You can't even pronounce Borgnine. I don't know if what's it called? The Devil's Reign.
The Devil's Reign. Yeah.
I don't know if you think it'll influence the our horror project that we're working on, maybe. But if it's just a waste of time and a bunch of heathen goat people having sex with each other, I'll watch it too.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so watch it. It won't help out I mean, maybe for the practical effects, but for what I think we're envisioning, it's probably too outdated.
Okay. I finally watched a movie that I was supposed to watch forever, according to everyone in the Criterion channel. Most of my horror movie friends that really pushed the genre on me. It's a movie called House from 1977.
Oh yeah, I got that gifted as a Criterion.
And you never watched it?
I did.
And it doesn't sound like you liked it.
I can't because some of these they start blending all together.
Okay, there's no way that House 1977 would blend with another movie because it's so creative, and for its time, it had to just blow people's fucking minds.
Okay.
It's about a schoolgirl and 6 of her classmates who travel to her aunt's country home, which turns out to be haunted. Now,
no, I didn't want. No, I was thinking of different movies.
In this wonderful way, this takes it takes a different kind of cinema. Like I would compare this movie, to The Evil Dead 2.
Okay.
Which it's so campy. The effects are so original, not in like a Slaughterhouse way or like an Evil Dead 2 way, but in the way where they invented a different way of telling a story with these kind of horror effects in a kind of funny way, but still scary way, and really inventive way for the way the filmmakers executed it. I mean, it was just jaw-dropping visually the whole time because it's 1977, and they're pulling up. Some of them are very hokey, but at the same time, it's 77, so I can't believe they pulled this movie off for how groundbreaking and original it is. I see why it is on everybody's lists of these horror aficionados because it's a genre all to itself, and I've never seen a movie like it before or after that just invented its own nature.
That's bold. That's amazing.
It starts out as just this simple story of these girls that go, this girl that wants to run away from her father's new marriage, so she convinces all her friends to go to her aunt's house, which I don't think they've ever met. And it turns out that her aunt she eats people to stay alive. She eats young girls to stay alive, and one by one her friends keep disappearing in these weird ways, and like all these teenage girls well, maybe they just went for a walk.
Yeah.
But I mean, she keeps eating all these people. The house is kind of in on it. The deaths are gruesome, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder and weirder, and it's kind of haunted house and kind of cannibalistic at the same time, but in that great way, again, where the visuals just keep coming at you in such a creative way. It's just fun to see what this guy is going to throw at you next. Its story is way secondary to the way he tells the story.
Gotcha.
But it's just so much fun.
I remember it's on like every list. That's why I was thinking of the DVD I got was Audition, but it was gifted from somebody.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's about 20, 30 years different.
Yeah, for sure. But it was like one of those Criterion done up sleeves.
Anyway, it's from Japan, and check it out. It's on the Criterion channel and Criterion Editions, and apparently Andy has a Criterion edition of this he's never seen, which says a lot about his gift accepting abilities.
I didn't have a DVD player for a long time. I was like, what am I going to do with this?
You can look at it.
I'm going to just stare at it.
But yeah, that's another one that I would recommend to you. Actually, I don't think you're going to like it as much as I did because the filmmaking aspects of it are amazing, and you're going to go like, this is kind of silly.
Okay.
If I can judge you like I've never judged you before.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm gonna surprise you and be like, this is like Citizen Kane, but for horror.
Anyway, yeah. So House from '77 is another one I would recommend you, and I don't want to hear your opinion on it.
Fair enough. I'll just keep it to myself. You can only.
Today's episode of the Four Seasons of Film podcast is brought to you by Phil's Coffee. Phil's specializes in handcrafted coffee made one cup at a time. Visit a location today or find them on the web at philscoffee.com. That's Phil's with a Z, coffee.com. Find the beans you're looking for.
What else you got?
So I watched this movie called Terrifier. It was like 2015, 2017. What the allure to this movie was, it took a character. I remember reading about this. It took a character from like a short story in like one of those like 3 terror like trilogy type of movies called Art the Clown. But everyone kept saying like now the director of it just really amped it up in the character of this psychotic killer clown. Basically, the movie starts off. There's this horribly disfigured person on a talk show talking about the events of running into this psychotic clown killer. And then and then the talk show's host was like, well, after, they went to the morgue, they found out that the body wasn't in the bag, right? So it's this cat and mouse game about these two women that, randomly just go to a truck stop diner, and all of a sudden they see this clown and just starts stalking them and terrorizing them. And this is like definitely like a torture porn type movie. But I don't know what it is. It's like, I'm not scared of clowns, but freaky clowns just freak me out. Like this is like the way the makeup and the costumes for the killer, Art the Killer Clown, and the actor who portrayed him, like very crazy movements and torture porn. But so it's like it's been on a lot of lists, and I always saw the picture of this clown. I was like, I gotta see what this is about. So I ended up watching it. It was good. If you want the torture, like, because that's the thing about the horror genre. You want, like, I really love the psychological thrillers, right? Like you were talking about, like with the strangers and the kind of the suspense of that. I just, I can watch the gore and all that. It's just more fun for me. So this is kind of like in that category. So if you don't like gore, you don't like crazy shit like that, don't watch it. But if you do, you'll have a good time.
The fact that you're calling it torture porn turns me off
Eli
immediately.
Roth. That's because now that's what everybody calls it ever since fucking Mr. Playgirl,
That's
Eli Roth.
Ridiculous. You bought that issue, huh?
I read the articles.
I just can't get behind the genre that there's porn in the name and torture is the beginning. And people watch this for pleasure. I mean, is part of it because they call it torture porn because you get off on the violence, or is it because there's like
it's just so
sexuality in it or something?
It's just so gratuitous. It's just over the top. It's like this, like
I don't know what kind of porn you watch, Andy, but
no, I don't know why they call it the torture. I mean, of course, ever since the 70s and 80s, there has been a lot of sex in horror films, to kind of get the audience in there.
Go on.
There is elements of sex, but not in this movie.
Naughty.
Straight torture. I don't know. It's
yeah,
weird.
it sounds boring when it's just torture. It sounds really boring.
But it's the cat and mouse game between the two girls and the clown too. So he keeps popping up everywhere and just does.
I think I've seen that movie. 2 Girls and a Clown. Let's see, Keanu Reeves, and he's in the house. The 2 girls come in.
Oh well, yeah. What was that movie? Oh fuck! I bet it was The Flipped. That was a good movie.
I actually like that movie. Yeah, can't remember what it's called though.
Silent? No, I forget.
Knock Knock. That's
Knock
what it's
Knock.
called.
Yes, that was good. Good job, Keanu.
So we're just gonna ignore that movie because I'm never gonna watch it. I went on a little. I think I don't know how I pronounce it. Whether it's T.I. West or Ty West kick. Do you know this man? Do you know this director?
What's some of his work?
Oh, come on, Andy. Yeah, I bet you've seen most of it. He made Pearl, he made X, he made The Innkeepers, and he made The House of the Devil.
No.
You never seen any of these?
No. I've heard House of the Devil's good.
Wow.
Did you watch House of the Devil?
You've seen something by him. I swear we watched X together.
What was X about?
X was a couple years ago. It came out at the same time as Pearl did, starring Mia Goth. It was about the filmmakers, the porn filmmakers that go to like a Texas Chainsaw farmhouse, basically.
Oh yeah, we did watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like a throwback to all 70s movies, 80s movies, slasher films. which I thought stylistically was really interesting. Even though I didn't really love the movie, I appreciated what it was trying to do, the throwback nature of X. So, I looked up, who modern people consider the best modern day horror filmmakers are, and his name kept coming up. So I put on one of his early films, The House of the Devil from 2009.
Yeah, that's on a ton of lists.
And I enjoyed it. It's thrilling. It's Tom Noonan's in it. Greta Gerwig plays a minor character.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of violent. It's kind of like Rosemary's Baby. It's about this girl who she's down. She's a college girl. She's down on her luck. She needs extra money, so she agrees to do this babysitting gig in the middle of nowhere for this really creepy house. And it turns out the guy that wants her to do the gig, it's not a babysitting gig for a kid. It's to babysit his sick mother so that him and his wife can go out and have a night off. And what happens? It turns out the sick mother is, X, Y, and Z. I won't ruin it for you. But she's kind of trapped in the situation in this house. It could or could not be some kind of a satanic cult that goes on. But visually, it was one of the most interesting modern horror movies because I believe that this director it's like what I would hope that I would do with homage to a genre like this. It made me feel like I was in a different era of movie making in a great way. I was in safe hands by someone who has done his homework and is making a modern day version of those old movies in a more technically proficient way to make it visually more interesting. Okay. I think I just blew your fucking mind with that sentence.
No, I understand it completely. I'm an auteur.
Please. Auteur, yeah, I guess you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie didn't hit for me on every single level, but I appreciated the shit out of what he was trying to do, which led me to check out other things that he has done. I'm going to just go and say it's Ty West. We're going to say Ty West.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, Ty.
So then I also watched a movie called Pearl, also starring Mia Goth, and this one was on everybody's list, for the year it came out. This one again a throwback certainly to a different era of filmmaking. It's set in 1918, a young woman on the brink of madness, pursuing stardom in a desperate attempt to escape the drudgery, isolation, and lovelessness of life on her parents' farm. Now, this one is even more interesting than House of the Devil because of the mixing of genres here. It's like a horror Wizard of Oz. It's like horror Singing in the Rain. Like Technicolor horror set in 1918 about this young woman who is just off her hinges, and you kind of get it right away because her best friend is like a crocodile.
All right.
And her dad he has some disease where I think it's the Spanish flu, and he's wheelchair bound. He can't even move or talk or anything. Her mom is German, very strict on her, and she has these aspirations to go and be a dancer and be a Hollywood star from this small town, and you just know it's not going to happen. So the frustration from that turns into murder. So she starts pretty much just killing everybody around her.
The crocodile made her do it.
But in this weird way where it's kind of like sweet, and she's obviously evil and she's fucking crazy, but in this weird way where I loved her performance because it was like Judy Garland killing people. I can't believe I'm watching Shirley Temple, hit somebody with an axe and chop their head off, and then there's this creepy scene where she just had it. She just can't taking care of her dad anymore. So she wheels him out to the dock and just says, just go ahead. My best friend is going to eat you now. So goodbye, daddy. What? And so scenes like that, you go, wow. Now that there's so many instances in this movie where you just don't see what's coming. And in this Technicolor wonder that is this farm, this beautiful reds and greens and yellow suns and blue sky landscape, it's such a juxtaposition of your brain that I genuinely loved this movie because I'd never seen a genre really kind of put into a box and shaken up so much like this. So I'm going to go on record and say I'm a fan of Ty West, and I want to see things I haven't seen, and I also want to see things he's done in the future because he's he's my kind of filmmaker. He writes and directs his own stuff, and it's very original. And the filmmaking is so technically proficient. He comes up with very interesting shots and very interesting ways to tell his stories. It doesn't feel fake or false or like he's just turning in a term paper. It's like he really invests in every frame to make his movie his way. And I think he succeeds in everything that I've seen, even in House of the Devil. I mean, it had some script problems for me, and it had sort of the suspension of disbelief. Why isn't this person just running away? But at the same time, you go, oh, I know what this movie is. I know what I can expect out of this movie, and it's still satisfying.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I really want to see this. This sounds so interesting.
Yeah, I would watch House of the Dead after you watched
Pearl first.
Pearl is like the best that I've seen. And then,
musical aspect to it, or just straight, like just that she's so sweet and innocent?
I mean, she's a dancer, so she dances a few times, but it's not a musical.
Gotcha. I did when you said The Wizard of Oz. I didn't know if there was like songs in it, because there was like the Anna and the Apocalypse movie. I never saw
that one.
It was like the zombie musical or whatever.
Yeah. There's other things that I'll check out by Ty West, but if I was going to recommend a movie for you, I would pick that one.
Okay, Pearl. That's moving up to the top of my list.
Yeah. He also did VHS. I don't know if you saw that one.
Oh, that's the yes. It's like,
but it was a bunch of directors.
But yeah. I watched the first. There's I think 5 of them now.
The Innkeeper. He did Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever, but he said that interference with the studio or something. He wanted to take his name off the movie, so that doesn't count. But I would love to go see his original shorts or his very first movies, because to see where the talent kind of evolves, that's kind of half the fun when you find a director that you like. You go, all right, well, let's see the original stuff that they've done and see this person come along.
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out. I think you'll really enjoy that one.
Okay.
What else you got?
Nothing else. No, I got. So one movie is new, that just came out recently, which was Talk to Me. Everyone was saying it was a great horror film, so I checked that out.
Talk to Me.
Yeah, it's so basically, this group of teenagers, they get this, like, it looks like a mummified, hand. And you hold it and you say, "Talk to me, I'll let you in." And then you can see the spirits, but you can only do it for 90 seconds, because if you do it longer than that, then the spirit starts attaching to you. So it's like a party trick game, and people are like, "No, I don't believe it," and da 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 da. And so like, I'll do it.
I'm sure this is how they pitched to the studio. Yeah, da 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 da. Things happen.
Yeah, things happen. But I was pleasantly surprised on how, it's like basically a possession movie.
It kind of reminds me of that, that's that old, they've used it so many times in horror films, with the twisted claw, like the monkey hand.
Like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was like a hand, and you shook it and you held on to it. And then, so this girl, she sees the ghost of her mother who passed away, right? So she's like, feels this connection, like, I want to keep talking to her, but is it really her mom, or is it this really demonic spirit that's trying to escape from the hand, where the hand came from?
It does not sound like something I could enjoy.
No, but it's I don't know if you would like it. You would watch it and be like,
why did you just not shake the hand?
Well, because people are like, "Oh, it's a party trick," and you see like TikToks and Instagrams of people like going back and their eyes black.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall, like the killer cell phone. Just turn the phone off. Take the battery out.
Yeah, well,
don't answer it.
She sees her mother, so that's why she's like, all right, I can use this, and she's trying to save her brother, because the spirit's attached to her brother, because he did it too at the party, because he's like, everyone's being a wuss, I'm gonna do it.
Honestly, I think that.
But it's freaky how the spirit starts.
I'm talking.
Excuse me, I wasn't done. Starts.
Andy, I get it. You don't have to explain it anymore. I get what the movie is. Yes, I do. And what I'm saying is that some horror films are simply just old Goosebumps stories reinvented, or old Are You Afraid of the Dark stories just reinvented into feature-length features. And famously, M. Night Shyamalan did that with an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? He turned an episode into The Sixth Sense. I think it was called The Prom Queen, Tale of the Prom Queen.
I remember that episode.
So, I mean, I think if you don't have an idea, or you just want to go get some experience writing a script, and you want to do horror, just go read some R.L. Stine, or watch Are You Afraid of the Dark, or something from the 80s, early 90s, turn into a feature film. And you got a better chance, because if you have a completed script, that's better than not having any script.
Yeah. Well, that concept ties into one of the movies I saw because now they're remaking it, and I was like, why the fuck are you remaking this? And it was just like a recent movie too. And then I have the one movie we watched the other night that we really enjoyed, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it. So,
which one's that?
The Hitcher. I'm fucking.
Oh,
I was like, dude, I'm still like, dude, that's the best thriller, like person chase
Okay,
I've seen in a long
time.
time. But the other movie was Willy's Wonderland. Now they're remaking it. It's coming out. It's like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh God, is this the one with Nicolas Cage, or the original was with Nicolas Cage?
The original was Nicolas Cage.
And this was only a couple years ago.
Yeah. So and now they're remaking it. It's like Chucky meets Chuck E. Cheese. Fucking.
All right, did you just make that up?
No, but I haven't read it.
Thank
No.
God.
I don't know, but that's what it felt like. Chucky meets Chuck E. Cheese.
You just made that up.
Yesterday I thought it up before the podcast, before the car crash. But it's fucking.
I'm gonna find who you plagiarized that from.
But it's like, dude, yeah, like the first one.
It's Chuck E. Cheese.
It's so much fun because it's so over the top, and Nick Cage is just fucking doesn't say a line in the whole fucking hour and a half, and there's all this carnage going on, and he's a badass. Now I'm like, why? How are they gonna remake it? It's all. Oh, they're gonna put some more. This is the one time I'm like, they're gonna put more story in it. I'm like, no, keep it the fucking carnage. This is like no rhyme or reason. This guy breaks down, starts washing dishes. These kids come in, and he has to save the kids from the fucking evil.
Which one is this?
Willy's Wonderland.
And which movie is being remade?
It's the new version's gonna be called Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's the same exact fucking movie.
And how are they getting away with this?
I don't know. That's why I'm like, dude, it like came out like
same director?
No, I don't think so.
Wow.
It's like came out like 3 years ago. I'm like, why are you gonna replace Nick Cage, man? Fucking he fucking badass in this.
Well,
and he doesn't have any lines. Like that was fucking. I could just imagine them pitching him. He's like, I'll do it.
And you saw the remake?
No, it's coming out.
Okay, so you watched the original one and you liked it.
Yeah.
So you don't know. It could be better. It could be worse. You don't know.
You're just adding story and you're just going to dilute it.
You can't prejudge a movie just because they're. Damn it. I mean, the conceit of it, that remaking a movie they just made 3 years ago. It's like somebody just. You're reading. I'm reading. They're going to remake. They're remaking the Harry Potter series again. They're remaking Lord of the Rings. They're talking about doing Lord of the Rings again. Why would you do that? It's not. It hasn't been that long.
Right.
And number two. That's the best they're gonna get.
Yeah, you can't. What else? What else can you top on it? They're like, that's what I'm saying.
You're just gonna do it over again to do it. It's gonna be shittier. It's gonna be more CG and bullshit and lazier. And then you're just doing it for a cash grab, and people will gladly go see it. That's the problem, because now they can do the fucking 8-hour version of each one of those books because they're so goddamn long.
Yeah, and now they have the bigger budgets. They can. That's all it is. It's like, we have bigger budgets, so let's remake it and add some extra sprinkles to the Sunday.
They can add Tom Bombadil back.
Yeah,
you don't even know who the fuck that is.
But I like the name. It's fun to say, Bombadil.
Tubby Lumpkin. Anyway, so I'll probably see that. I'll probably watch the Nick Cage version.
I want to watch that together with you.
Yeah. All right.
That's a good drinking beer, watching movie.
We've got about 10 minutes, and let me see my list of anything I really want to endorse to you. All right. One really quick is called Tales from the Darkside, the movie from 1990.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know there was a TV series called Tales from the Darkside, which I would guess that you should also check out, Andy, because it sort of reminds me. It's an anthology. The movie is an anthology movie for 3 or 4 short films that are all horror based, and sort of like Goosebumps and sort of like Are You Afraid of the Dark and all that, but more R-rated.
Okay, cool.
And there was remember that movie I think in the early 90s, Campfire Tales that we used to watch?
Yes.
It's sort of like that, but this is better. The stories are better. The stories are scarier, and the setup is amazing. The setup is this little boy, and it's little Matthew Lawrence.
Oh, God.
In 1990,
So
he's being trapped in this house by a witch, and she's about to put him in the oven. And so to distract her, he's like, "No, I have another horror story that I want to tell you." And so and every time he has a horror story for her, and then you see the story, and the witch is played by Debbie Harry for some reason.
Oh, really? Blondie.
Yeah. And it the first story stars a young Steve Buscemi, and Christian Slater's also in it. Julianne Moore's first film role was in this also.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, David Johansen's in one of the segments. William Hickey, the grandfather from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, he's in it. Mark Margolis is in it. James Remar is also in this movie.
This launched a lot of careers.
Robert Klein is a character in this movie. Yeah, I mean the stories are good. Of course, like any anthology movie, like Buster Scruggs or something, you have your favorite ones, you have your less favorite ones. Some are less successful, some are more successful. But it's just a good 1990 watch of some, realistic effects, psychological effects. One's about a mummy, another one's about a killer cat.
I don't like killer animals. That freaks me out because it can happen.
Well, you should watch it. I think this is where people get the idea that I think it's Stephen King. It was based on a Stephen King story, but people think that cats steal your soul. That's probably where this comes from because it freaked me the fuck out. But you should watch it. It's just a fun horror anthology movie watch that reminds me what it felt like to be alive in the 90s and as a kid.
Yeah.
And it still holds up where you go, oh, if I watched this, on a Saturday night with a bunch of my friends when I was in middle school, we would have been like, oh man, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, we got soda pop. It's funny. We were talking about Creepshow the other day. Which I still think you should watch, but I think this is the selling point for Creepshow. I didn't watch it for this podcast, but we were talking about it. Is you want to see Leslie Nielsen as a villain? Watch Creepshow. Okay,
actually, that I will. I'm meaning to watch Creepshow.
Yeah.
Real quick, I also watched The Changeling from 1980, and I think you'd like that movie too. You ever seen this?
No, the poster, and I haven't seen it.
How do you know the poster?
Because this one's on lists, man. I read the same. This is the one list that we both researched.
Okay, it's not a perfect movie, but I really loved the movie. Anything starring George C. Scott, I'm in. Especially if it's George C. Scott. 'Cause he's such a man's man, and it's like him versus a haunted house, and he's like, "Fuck you,"
just punching the ghost in the nose.
He's like, this thing's trying to tell me something. They're like, why don't you just leave? He's like, well, fuck that. Why is this thing telling me something?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of this search for what this house is trying to tell him. His wife and his daughter have just died in a horrific accident. He moves in this new town, this new house, and there's a ghost that's trying to tell him something. Of course, you think it's the daughter or you think it's his, and it's not. Right. It's actually some other voice, and it's this kind of like detective story of him trying to figure out who killed the ghost of this little boy that lives in this new house. And so it's fantastic. It's shot really well. And again, anything by George C. Scott, especially from this era, and this is 1980, this is vintage, creme de la creme George C. Scott, and it's just a fantastic watch. You'd really enjoy it for the psychological aspects of it and the creepiness of that. It actually scared the shit out of me, the stuff in the house, the way that they presented the ghost. Yeah. It scared the shit out of me.
I love that. Definitely check it out. Did we watch Funhouse together, the Toby Hooper movie?
Yeah, we watched that last year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If we didn't talk, I remember looking for it, like, that's a recommendation. I didn't watch it, but I remember like, oh, fuck, that's probably one not a lot of people have seen.
I did watch Lifeforce. I ended up watching Lifeforce from 1985.
You watched that without me?
I can't say I can recommend it. I thought it was going to be way more vampires and way more. I thought it was going to be a different movie. It was kind of like a sci-fi movie with pretty shitty 80s effects. I guess the biggest pull from Lifeforce is there's a very attractive woman who walks around naked the entire movie, and she's got huge bosoms. So, I guess
sounds brilliant.
I guess that's why people put this on their list.
Yeah.
After the second or third time, you go, I get it. It's a naked woman. What's going on in this story?
What's going on with the vampire?
It's hard to follow. It's convoluted. The effects aren't as good as I thought they were going to be. It's Toby Hooper. I thought that was going to, change things. But
Hooper did that
it's
too?
a huge, bloated, $25 million Canon film. I get the tongue-in-cheek. I just thought there was a lot of dialogue and not a lot of action.
Gotcha.
Okay. And it was hard to follow. So I can't say, I know you will not like it.
Yeah.
You're going to go, man, I thought this was going to be like more blood-sucking space zombies.
When we were reading like the synopsis, trying to pick the movies, like, this actually sounds pretty cool. I'm glad I didn't have to waste my time on it.
And we'll follow this and end the podcast with a new favorite of, I think, both of ours, a brilliant masterpiece called The Hitcher.
Oh my God.
From 1986.
It's very, very few and far between for me that when I see it, like a horror movie like this, or even just like a thriller like this, that I'm like, fuck, man, this is in my top.
Well, you've never seen Spielberg's Duel, have you?
No.
It's essentially the same movie, except there's no Hitcher. It's a truck that is stalking this one guy and can't get away from him, and it's like going to kill him, and is driving him off the road, and everywhere he stops, the truck is there. It's a brilliant movie. You should watch it. Okay. Spielberg's Duel, I think it's 71. It is so fucking brilliant. I would love that movie, and that's part of the reason I liked this movie. This movie, it's about a young man who escapes the clutches of a murderous hitchhiker, subsequently is stalked by the Hitcher and framed for his crimes. So it ups the ante that he shouldn't pick up this guy. He does pick up this guy. The guy wants to kill him. He somehow gets out of it, and the guy's like, "Oh no, you're never going to escape me. I'm gonna kill you."
Yeah.
And it's a little dumb in places, suspension of disbelief again, but I promise you will not be bored. It's hilarious fun.
Yes.
It's hilarious dumb because half of it doesn't make any sense. And you think that I kept thinking like the guy is at the end of this, the young man in the Hitcher, it's going to be like Fight Club where it's just him.
Same person. Yeah.
And disappointingly, the ending is worse than that because they don't, there is no ending. There really is no ending.
There's not.
We had to Google what the fuck happened because we couldn't figure out why they bailed on the ending like that. But you will laugh. You will feel a little creeped out by it. Jennifer Jason Leigh makes a cameo in it. Rutger Hauer is the killer, and he's also from
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, and he's always intense, and he's fucking scary in this.
Dude,
he is really scary in this.
Always just sweating, just in the background.
In that great way where dudes used to be very scary when they were cast as these characters. It's like that 80s way where men were like, "Oh my God, that guy looks like he could be a killer in real life." And Rutger Hauer gives off that vibe in every movie he's in. And then C. Thomas Howell from The Outsiders.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's the kid.
He looks familiar.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It'll keep you on the edge of your seat. You'll want to throw things at the screen. You'll want to talk shit about it with your friends. Watch it with a big group.
Yeah, this is a movie that, like, for a horror genre, this is like a uniting movie because it's not crazy, gory, over the top, not overly scary, but still thrilling and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, it hits on every box of like what a good October movie should be because you want to be scared. You want to take some of these movies very seriously and feel genuine fright, but you also want to watch some kind of dumb, yell at the screen, feel scared at the same time. Movies like this it's like that movie we watched that about the kids, the Monster Squad.
No, Monster
Squad. That movie, it's like this movie. It's cheesy and it's lame, but it's also really awesome.
Yeah,
and it's a time capsule for you can't do that anymore. And the Hitcher's kind of like that too. You could definitely do this movie. They've done this movie a million times, but not in the 80s. Not in 1986 and not with these people. This was just on all boxes was just a fun psychological thriller horror film. I don't even say horror. I would just say thriller, but scary for if you want to watch a good movie that it creeps you out because it could happen.
Right, you can pick up a hitchhiker and this happens.
All right. Any other ones you want to throw across and I can bat them away before we get out of here?
Nah, I'm good. Man, let's end on a high note, man. Let's end with a really great positive recommendation for the people.
Enjoy your Halloween, people. That's hopefully about 10 films for you to check out. Hopefully some good recommendations. Hopefully stuff that you haven't seen before or were maybe heard about or wanting to see or ones that you want to revisit. It wasn't just The Shining and Texas Chainsaw and, all the top 10 lists. Those movies are on my top 10 list too. But I wanted to go after things that could be potentially good and that would surprise me and maybe make it into my rotation every year. And I'm happy to say I think I found 2 or 3 this year.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Andy. This wasn't a total loss on your end, except for the killer torture porn clown movie.
Well, a lot of people, anyway, have a spooky season. I don't want to get back into it.
All right, keep filming alive. We'll see you next episode of 4 Seasons of Film Podcast.